Hey guys, how's it going? My name's the Breph and welcome to another challenge video. Today I'm asking the question, can you beat Pokémon Emerald with only an ANORITH? ANORITH is a Pokemon that is very dear to me as it is the pre-evolved form of potentially my favourite main series Pokemon, Armaldo. In terms of its stats, ANORITH is, well, fairly decent actually, with a big fat 95 in physical attack and 75 in speed. That's pretty much all you need to know. The other stats aren't particularly great: 45 health, 50 defense, 50 special defense and 40 special attack, but I can definitely see this tearing its way through parts of the game. What does it learn in terms of level up moves? Well, unfortunately not an awful lot. Metal Claw at level 25 is going to be nice for parts, but really the MVP of this move set is going to be Ancient Power at level 37. In terms of TMs, unfortunately they're not going to be particularly helpful to us here. We do learn some good stuff. Water Pulse, despite it being special, is going to come in handy. We do have the option to learn Aerial Ace, Return, Facade, Brick Break and Dig. All of these could be potential lifesavers, but I don't think we'll need all of them. But before we go any further, let's talk about the rules. ANORITH only in battle, no items are allowed in battles, and as ever, TM usage is more than allowed. With that all said, let's jump straight into it. The game begins and we choose the male character, giving ourselves the ever-inventive name of Breph. We're then tasked with heading into our neighbour's house, where we find a nasty little surprise. On the floor beside her bed is a strange looking object that looks almost cone-shaped in nature, but it has a little Pokeball at the end of it and it smells rather weird, so we just decide to knock the fuck out of there and head downstairs, awkwardly bumping into the person who owns it. Freshly saved from that encounter, we head north to collect our starter, an ANORITH, who back in the lab we nickname Anomalocaris, as requested by Bob Joe, who goes by Yin in the Discord. And this is a channel member priority request, so Bob, Joe, Yin, however you'd like to be called, thank you so much for your contribution to the channel, and hopefully this will do you some justice. Anyway, what do we do next but head up to fight May, and she is easy enough to defeat. I mean, there's really nothing to speak about until... Fucking hell, this is thunder. Until we reach Roxanne. Now I'm going to be honest with everyone, I didn't even bother trying this fight until we reached level 19, where we learnt Water Gun, and guess what? That's right, we did this first time. There was no problems at all. We just Water Gun, squirt our little Anomalocaris all over the gaff, and the rock type leader is going back to whacking on her red light. Meaning we can get on with the tiny little bit of story that's available to us. Diving headfirst into a cave to knock out a dog, to save a small bird and sail over the seas to a new place. When over there, I first head in and challenge Brawly. Now, given that we are somewhat weak, I think would be fair to say, in the defensive stats, it might not come as a shock to many people that we actually lost this multiple times, to the point where I just decided to abandon ship for the time being and head in to deliver the letter to Stephen. At the conclusion of that and many moons later worth of grinding, we head back in, and this time we can finally defeat Brawly. And that means we're going over to Slateport, where in the museum we find Captain Stern. We look him deep in the eyes and we deliver a parcel to him. A parcel that leads to us being interrupted by Archie. Archie basically comes in to hurl insults at his men, calls them simp lords, tells them if they were in Gen 8 they would use the simpidimp line, and tells them that the key to getting a girlfriend is simple: just talk to women. Yeah, like it's that fucking easy, Archie. The height of irony is that the next fight after that involves us going and talking to a woman, because we have to fight May on the road to Moorville. The only main issue with her team is that marsh tomp, because we are weak to water. But if I had to be honest, it really wasn't the most difficult fight in the game, and before too long we are past her and standing at the entrance to the Moorville gym. Here we meet Wally, and he is, as his name suggests, a bit of an idiot. He decides to challenge our brutally tough ANORITH with his, well, less than ideal rolls. Listen, I'm going to be honest with everyone, that was a one shot before that thing went down. And just like that, we get to try and take on the electric type gym. I lost this fight several times, to the point where I actually went and leveled up enough to learn ancient power, and even then I wasn't able to beat it first time. We got exceptionally lucky at level 39, getting ourselves a cheeky ancient power boost off on the first one. That fortunately was enough to carry us through the rest of the battle, even getting a completely necessary critical hit on Magneton. And just like that, 3 badges down, and we're off to Meteor Falls, where we only have to watch the one bloody cutscene. Yes, I don't understand why this part of the game is a thing, but it is, and we all have to deal with it. Unless you don't want to, in which case you can just skip ahead to the next major fight, which is, coincidentally, at the top of Mount Chimney against Maxie. For a lot of casual players and some challenges even, this fight can be so much of a roadblock it makes you want to put the game down and never pick it up. Fortunately for me, this playthrough is not one of those, and his team goes down way too easily. This of course allows me to get the meteorite out of the machine and head off to collect the TM for return. This of course amounts to overkill on our ANORITH, and means that when we come into the fight against Flannery, we are essentially gonna turn all Bruce Lee on her ass and kick it from here to Bangalore, which coincidentally is exactly how it goes down, and just like that we've claimed the 4th badge and we're halfway to being done with this shit. The next fight is heading back home to meet our absentee father, Norman, and unfortunately we stumbled a few times on the gym trainers, which didn't exactly give me the most confidence. Actually, I didn't need to worry so much, it was kind of an easy fight. Granted, we did lose the first time because I got caught out to counter, and you know how that goes, especially when you're running a physical ANORITH. But do you know what? The second time was just too simple, and we claimed the 5th badge, defeating our father and telling him that he needs to treat our mother better, else we're going to come back and kick his ass a second time. Fortunately for him though, I am a little bit distracted at this point and have to make my way over to the Weather Institute. Once there, we are forcibly given a cast form who I despise in its entirety, as evidenced by the fact that I give it the nickname of Cast Cuck. Yeah, I'm still playing off this meme. I know it's dead, but do you know what? So's my liver at this point, and I don't think anyone minds. Fresh out of that gaff, we head over to take on the fight against May, and her team has improved substantially. I mean, this is the pinnacle of Pokemon teams. This is the peak. This is, no one can beat this oh look, it's over. And with that most brutal encounter over and done with, we finally get access to Winona's gym, and I won't lie, this had me kinda scared. I know we've got a rock type move and ancient power, but when you break it down, I haven't got an awful lot that can deal with that Skarmory, and to be honest, that Pelipper may have the potential to deal with me outright. Fortunately for us, when we get down to the nitty gritty of it all, the flying type leader, who I've learnt my lesson, I'm certainly not going to make a joke about the female flying type leader and anything to do with flaps, wings or birds. I mean, no, I'd never make such a joke, would I? I mean, who in heaven's earth would want to risk offending someone with a little bit of fun like that? I'll never know. But anyway, Flappy Bird Mark II is down, and we have claimed 6 badges. And that means we're about to hit that point in the game where the game just gets too boring to handle. A lot like my love life. At this point in the game, we head up to Mount Burmy at the Pyre, and we get told about different types of orbs and balls and other spherical objects that can be manipulated. And then we are sent on our way deep into the heart of an active volcano, because God knows that sounds like a safe activity for a 10-year-old kid to do. Anyway, as if volcanoes weren't safe enough, at a certain point we bump into a bloke standing in front of what can only be described as a mountain of an ancient being that's fast asleep. Clearly not having heard the expression "let sleeping dogs lie," Maxie decides he's gonna crack open that ball all over the face of the defenceless and now unhappy Groudon. In the aftermath of that event, he challenges us to a battle, and unfortunately for him, his team hasn't quite gotten any stronger since the last time we fought him, and before long we're running our asses out of that gaff faster than you used to sprint out the front door whenever you heard the ice cream van approaching when you were a kid. Upon exiting the volcano, we make our way over to Slateport again, where Captain Stern does the unthinkable. He tries to tell us that drinking is bad for our health, to which we just cannot help but laugh. Whether it's bad for us or not, we don't care, which is why it's even funnier when he turns around and realises that he's allowed his potentially multi-million-pound submarine to get stolen from a bloke who thinks it's acceptable to enter it while it's under the water. Hashtag Stern's a pleb. Once that submarine has sailed off in the direction of God knows where, we make sure to lock eyes with him and lean forward, whispering in his ear, "I'm the captain now," before making our way over to the Lily Cove hideout. In here we collect the famous Master Ball, and oh yes, you all know what's about to come. Plot twist, it's me. Before that happens though, we then have to make our way over to the dreaded 7th gym. Tate and Liza. How do I say this in a polite, family-friendly manner that nobody will take offence to? Fuck these cunts. Fuck this gym. Fuck this. Fuck life. Fuck this game. I hate this fucking gym. This gym can fuck itself. Did I convey that in an appropriate way? I think I did. These have been the cause of many a drunken night in for the Breph, because they don't like making life easy, do they? Now don't get me wrong, if we had access to a Pokemon that knew a decently strong water type move and a decently strong rock type move, we'd have all the bases covered for this one and I wouldn't be worried. ANORITH is not that Pokemon. ANORITH may very well have been in real life the world's first apex predator. However, when it comes to this gym, they are most definitely the prey. And it's not just ANORITH that's the prey. It appears that this gym has made my arsehole the prey, because my god, are they bending me over the barrel and fucking screwing me. Fortunately though, and yes, I am fucking running through this so quickly just to put the memory of it aside, I did get a lucky run and I was so fortunate to be able to beat this gym after only a shit ton of grinding. Fortunately for us, all of that grinding meant that when we get into the double battle with Steven inside the Space Center, there really isn't much to worry about. We are comfortably able to defeat both the admin and Maxie's Pokemon, and that means that we can now head under the sea. Down here we meet Archie, who goes off on a rant. He tries to convince us to vote Trump in the 2020 election, but then won't take no for an answer, even though it's not my political system and I don't actually get a say. In the end, we have to settle this the old-fashioned way, with a good old brawl, but not with our fists. No, we're going to use small harmless animals to do our fighting for us. Just like the good old days. It was a fight that did have me worried. Of course, being weak to water is never a good thing, especially when we're trying to do this sort of business. But luckily for us, we beat him first time and there weren't really any problems. Not that I think anyone was anticipating any. The massive problem that comes after it though is the fact that he, for some reason, thought it would be a good idea to just wake up another sleeping being, like as if one wasn't bad enough game. Now we've got two. Back on the surface, Steven intervenes and tells us not to do something stupid, so we instantly head off to do exactly that. Something stupid. by following him to Sootopolis and making our way into the Cave of Origin, where we get to encounter Wallace. With our genius level intellect at his disposal, he deduces the location of Rayquaza, the only person, thing, creature that can save this planet. And so it's up to the top of the Sky Pillar with us, where we come face to face with Master Yoda's throbbing, force-sensitive friend. So off he goes to exert his force elsewhere, coincidentally saving the planet in the meantime. I mentioned earlier that it was going to be me that was coming, and by that I mean coming back to Sky Pillar. What else did you think it was going to be? Up here we managed to get into the encounter and throw our Master Ball, catching Master Yoda's saber in the process. And now to break someone's heart somewhere, because I don't give a fuck about that thing, so it's off to the PC, releasing it, and then we head in to take on Juan. Now, being exceptionally weak to water, and by exceptionally weak, I mean we are more fragile than the emotional state of a 14-year-old high school kid. Oh, I bet that one hits close to home, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm talking to you. You know who you are. No, not him. Not her. You. Anyway, it might surprise you to learn that I managed to beat Juan first time. It certainly surprised me when I stepped up to the fight, because I was honestly expecting to have to go and grind again, but it looks like the few levels I was able to gain really kind of pushed us over the edge, and we certainly did get a little bit lucky, I won't lie, but it was easy enough, and that was kind of the scary thing, because this was when I expected to have one of the, oh my god, this fight's impossible moments. Ah well, that moment never came, a lot like me, and then we make our way into Victory Road, because that's the next step for us. In here we are challenged by our true and legitimate rival Wally. His team is diverse, and it's actually a really good team, but it's not quite good enough, because the world's first apex predator, Anomalocaris, I believe I've said that right, sinks his teeth into the entire team, and before long it's done. And that means, all lads, lasses and laths alike, you guessed it, it's time for us to flex our prehistoric muscles on the Elite Four. Sydney is up first, and as you can see from our moveset, we've had Aerial Ace for a while. Essentially, this nullifies 2 members of his team. The others did have me a little bit concerned, especially with Mightyena having Intimidate as the ability, but it turned out not to be so much of a problem, and before long we've defeated him and we've moved on to Phoebe. Phoebes are an awful lot like Karens in that every single one I've met seems to be a carbon clone of the other, and they're all a massive pain in the arse. This one included. Of course, her first Dusclops knows Curse, and if it uses it, well, I may as well just give up because it's fight over. However, that said, our moveset is kind of powerful enough that when she doesn't use it, we're alright. We actually beat her, and I only think it took us maybe 2 or 3 attempts. Glacia was one of those that was harder than she probably had any right to be. Yes, I know she had powerful water types on her team, but every single member of her squad is weak to the rock type, and we've got Stab Ancient Power on our side. She did take me a couple of attempts, and by a couple I mean maybe 3 or 4, but really I was expecting this one to be a bit of a sweep, and I was pleasantly surprised at how challenging it was. I wasn't pleasantly surprised though at how much of a challenge Drake posed. That man deserves a medal for the hardest fight I've ever had to do, as a child especially, but now, man, ANORITH didn't stand a chance to begin with, and then I realised it was all in the strategy. It was just the way that I was doing it, and it turned out that when I changed my approach and I learnt from my failures, this was kind of straightforward, which makes it all the worse that I struggled so hard. We do manage to beat him off though, and it turned out that Drake and I weren't the only things that were hard, because my goodness was Wallace a pain in the rectal cavity. Kind of not surprising to me given that he has a team of water types, but you know what? On the whole, it isn't as bad as it could have been. This team is potentially just brutal. I don't even want to think about what it could have been. But in practice, it wasn't so bad. I think this is only the second or third time of asking that we were able to beat the entire team. And just like that, we've made our way to the Hall of Fame. Here I'd just like to give a massive shout out to our HM slaves, a Delhi Bird obviously, and a congratulations to Plonkerboy900 for hitting 15k, and a Relicanth as a congratulations to Tion for hitting 20k. Why a Relicanth? Well, I asked Tion and his reply was very Tion in nature, and I quote, "Because fish go blub blub." Either way, congratulations to those two, and congratulations to ANORITH for claiming his place. But unfortunately, the torture for this one isn't quite done yet, because we have to do the post-game fight with Steven. What can I say about the fight with Steven apart from, oh my god, what a damn fight. Do I have to talk about this? I hated this fight. This was brutality personified. Skarmory was a pain because, as I mentioned with Winona, we haven't actually got a lot that can deal with it. In fact, we got fuck all. I was sat here relying on ancient power boosts essentially to try and beat this one off easily, but they just didn't want to come. A little bit like, you know what, never mind, that's an old joke. I had to redo this fight level after level, and it was just not getting any easier. I mean, I have to be honest with you, we hit the level cap. We maxed out our level and even changed up our moveset to include Brick Break instead of Aerial Ace. Even then, I learnt that we just couldn't tank a Meteor Mash from that Metagross when we got to it. And actually, probably the hardest part of the entire fight, if I'm being honest with you, was still getting past the Skarmory. Because in order to do this, we really needed to do it without taking damage, and that is a lot harder than it makes out to be. Fucking same. Luckily, on my many attempts, I learnt that if we managed to get to Armaldo with an ancient power left, it was a one-shot, so it was essentially a free chance for a boost. One I desperately needed. Fortunately though, when we were able to get to the Armaldo and we got past it, it was very simple, because Aggron is the final Pokemon out, and that's 4 times weak to fighting. So the issue was only then to get past Metagross, and that took, oh boy, that took a lot of patience. That took more patience than an NHS hospital in mid-April. Fortunately for me, and I don't know whether or not King's Rock had anything to do with it, but fortunately enough we were able to survive and dispatch the Metagross with something like 18 HP left. It was a minuscule amount. Luckily, like I said, then Aggron came out 4 times weak to fighting and it went down. And we'd beaten Steven Stone by the skin of our teeth. Oh my goodness, what a run. I don't know if anyone can tell by the sound of this voice and the fact that the video is delayed, but I've been really sick recently, and even now I'm still not anywhere near to being 100%. I can only apologise to everyone, and especially to Bob Joe, to Yin, again, however you'd like to be called. I can only apologise especially to you, because this priority request is coming out later than I would have liked it to be. Hopefully though, I've been able to do some justice to it. Now, would I recommend this challenge? Do you know what? I actually would. It was a lot of fun, and like I said, Armaldo pretty much shredded through the early to mid game. It really only struggles in that mid to late game section, and especially the post game fight with Steven there, it was pretty much unbearable. But still, it was a lot of fun, and I got to show off the pre-evolved form of my favourite Pokemon, and also the world's first apex predator, Animalacarius. So thank you so much, Bob Job, for this suggestion. It was a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm not going to waste any more of anyone's time. Your time is so greatly appreciated, and doubly so given the current situation with the world. I hope all is well with everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe. If you're not a member of the Discord, the link to join is in the description. If you're not subscribed, why not consider smacking that big red button? Maybe even slapping a cheeky little like on. And if you feel like hitting the notification bell to find out whenever I upload new content, absolutely be my guest. If you don't want to do that, well, I'm afraid that's on you, mate. That's your loss. But again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next one.